What is good, YouTube? Today you join me in the Alfa Romeo Giulia. Now this isn't just any Giulia, this is actually Ant Giulia, and he's kindly let me drive it to go see what this car is like so I can do somewhat of a review on it. First impressions from jumping into the interior is that it looks brilliant. I've been in many an Audi, many a BMW. I just think the Italian interiors are just so much cooler. Like the Abarth interior is just cooler than a lot of the other hatchbacks, but this Alfa's first one is just the steering wheel with the flat bottom. There's a start engine stop just button here to start the car, similar to the Ferrari. I love that. The dials are nicely placed, and there's this big nice screen on my left hand side that can see everything quite clearly. It is a touch of quality in this car, and I've got to say Ant's couple of things that he's done where he's added the carbon on the interior here just on a central dashboard. He's also added a bit of carbon just behind the camera. I think it just adds that absolute quality that you don't get in other cars. So really good first impressions. Let's go for a drive. I'm actually really excited to see what this car can do, obviously safely on the roads. The weather has been kind to us today. There was thunderstorms last night, but we are rolling with some sunshine right now. So let's make sure that I don't destroy Ant's car, but let's go take it for a good drive. I think this is just about being the most eventful drive I've ever had trying to film. I literally stopped over to try and get some B-roll footage, and every direction or anywhere I've stopped, people have driven at me, so this has been incredible. Okay, so I've been driving this car for about 5-10 minutes now, and things to note straight away is how comfortable this car is. The seats they feel so good. They grip you, but not so tightly that you feel every bump in the road. They're super comfortable to actually sit in. And I may note that these are obviously set for Ant's sizes. Again, I'm sorry, pulling in the short thing again. I'm a much bigger dude, and the bolsters are pinching me a little bit, but not so that it's too uncomfortable. I actually really enjoy sitting in this vehicle. I can see why you'd buy one of these to just absolutely eat up the miles. If you're doing a job that requires you to drive here, there and everywhere around the UK, this is the car to buy, if I'm honest. It's a 2-litre diesel, starts off as 180 brake horsepower as a standard. Ant has remapped this to 237, I think it is, 240, somewhere around that mark. When you put your foot down, you really can feel it. It's a brilliant amount of pull, and it makes you feel like you're in a 3-litre, which is incredible. So bar the interior that Ant has actually changed about, he's also added the 19-inch QV alloys to this car to get rid of those 18-inch standard matte kind of looking ones that, I'm sorry if you're an Alfa owner and you got them, I personally didn't like them. I think adding these 19-inch QV has really created a good stance to this vehicle. It makes it look a lot more aggressive. He's also then added the QV carbon spoiler at the back, which I think is just, again, I mean, if anyone watched my last video on the Abarth where I talk about a boot lid handle, the little finer touches I feel on a car, some of these subtle things make the biggest of differences. I mean, there's carbon interior here, it's in really subtle areas, but it's made the biggest difference to this interior. It looks incredible, and it matches this beautiful steering wheel with the kind of off grey next to the black, so having that kind of carbon colour really adds that subtle little touch to it. So I went up and down this road a minute ago, and I did have a chance to put my foot down and really test out what this car is like, and the power delivery is a tiny bit slower than I would have thought. Maybe I'm in the wrong setting, to be fair, but I think it also could be the fact that it was an automatic. Maybe it was dropping down a gear to then give it the punch, but when the power did deliver, it was sublime. It was so seamless, and it was so brilliant to actually sit and drive in. I felt comfortable on the road, and I felt like I could overtake anything with a lot of comfort. But then that brought me onto the braking power. What was it like to brake in this thing? And at first it kind of felt a little bit heavier, but by the time I actually started to kind of get used to these brakes, I reckon when you get into some corners and you really want to throw this thing around, you could have a lot of fun with it. Which begs the question, who's the person who's buying this car? Well, I know that Ant bought this car because he had before a Giulietta, which had stupid amount, 300 brake horsepower maybe. It was an unbelievable car. 280 maybe, I don't know. His Giulietta before was crazy, but because it was crazy, it was drinking all the petrol in the world. And with petrol prices rising and only doing a lot more mileage, Ant told me that he felt that this car would be a lot better to just breeze on through with a diesel. Now, I can understand why, and I can understand why he's gone for one of these compared to something like a German counterpart. This has so much more character to it than the German cars. It does feel fun to drive. Like, driving it up and down these country roads and pinning it into corners, it feels like a smaller car, it feels like a sportier car. And I know this is not the QV version, but it definitely has the feel about it. And I know that Ant has added some extra optional extras as well. So just whilst I'm driving and looking around this car, I mean, this is the first time I've actually had the pleasure of driving one of these, and I've got to say, I'm hooked. If I was going to look for a saloon car that was comfortable to drive, could eat up the mileage, but also you put your foot down and it moves, I'd be really tempted to go for one of these. Bar the few carbon parts, everything else has been standard on this car, including stuff like xenon headlights. I'm looking in the back as well, and the room in the back of the car is plentiful. If you want to add a couple of extra people in the back because you've got to do a business trip, or you've got family, you're taking your friends out for the day, you've got plenty of room in the back, and the boot is brilliant as well. Good amount of luggage can be stored in this thing. I just think it's an all-round great car, and I know, you know, you might be comparing this to other saloon cars, but I might be a bit biased considering I have an Italian car, but I've got to say, I absolutely love this car and it's been a pleasure to drive it. I do know that Alfa released this in a petrol variation as well, and I've seen a few of the customers who've got this car who've come forward with it and had different things added to it. So I know that you can get like a Miltech exhaust system is one of the things that a lot of customers have added to their petrol version, just to give that kind of throatier sound. I've got to say, if I was probably looking to buy this kind of car just to have fun, I'd definitely go for a petrol version because you want that noise. But if you're looking for something that's comfortable, fun to drive, and you're not too fussed about the sound, you might as well just go for one of these. I don't see why you wouldn't. So that was my review of the Alfa Giulia. Thank you again, Ant, for letting me go drive that car. It was brilliant. I think to really get the feel of it, I'd need to take something like that out for a weekend and really test it in like a real life scenario. But getting to drive that up and down the roads and putting your foot down in it and feeling what the car is like definitely is a step up from what I've had to do before. So that is brilliant. Again, if you have an Alfa Giulia and you're looking to do anything to your car, hit up AR Autos because we do absolutely anything that you need. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Plenty more content to come.